I spent over 200 hours playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, exploring every corner of this game, and I spent over a year playing all of the Assassin's Creed games in order to fully grasp Assassin's Creed as a whole. I could truly say that Assassin's Creed Valhalla was one of the best and emotional depth games that I have ever played. I knew nothing going into this game and managed to avoid all spoilers for this game throughout the course of my playthrough. I want to give a shout out and thank this community first of all for joining me throughout this entire journey. I don't know what I would do without you guys, and if you're new, consider helping us grow by liking and subscribing. Assassin's Creed Valhalla changes everything we know about the series and adds in a lot more to the final days of the ISU people. In order to cover everything of what Valhalla has changed in Assassin's Creed, first we must do an in-depth review of the game to understand how it connects to the present day with the Assassin Templar War. One of the big issues many people had was choosing between male Eivor and female Eivor, with the developers being anonymous with who was canon by stating that both of them are canon, but what most people did not know was that they were right, but it's not how you think it is. The developers will later update the game and add a third choice, which was let the animus choose, which is what I played on this channel. With the let animus choose choice, you played as female Eivor throughout the main game and as male Odin throughout the Norse mythology part of the games. This caused many people to speculate that female Eivor was canon, but no one could say for sure until the final chapter confirmed that female Eivor was indeed canon. It turns out Eivor had the memories and the soul of Odin within her, which began to manifest throughout the events of the game. For many, this was confusing. How could there be two people in one body? Well, it turns out the Norse gods are ISU, and they plan to survive by passing their memories into human embryos. Now, where have we seen this before? Well, if you have played the older Assassin's Creed games, particularly Assassin's Creed 3, Black Flag, and Unity, you will know about the sages throughout the history of the games. Now, the process in which the sage manifests and the Norse gods manifest is similar, but it is also very different. While Juno made the process for her husband Aita to manifest randomly in a human throughout history, the process with which the Norse gods are reborn only happens once as far as we know. We actually get to see Juno meet Odin in Jotunheim, where she is known as Hyrrokin, where she gathers some of the same ingredients for their respective projects. Throughout the events of the main game from the beginning, we get to see teasers that there is more to Eivor than we know. When Eivor loses her parents to the wolf clan and escapes from her burning village, Eivor is attacked and bitten by a wolf in the neck. This is our first Easter egg that Eivor was Odin, and since Odin dies fighting the wolf Fenrir and is swallowed by him according to Norse mythology. Eivor from that day on is nicknamed Wolf-Kissed. We learn that she's adopted by King Stjornborn of the Raven clan and grows up with Sigurd, who is her adopted stepbrother. Eivor goes on constant raids with the Raven clan until Sigurd returns back to Norway after being gone for 2 years exploring the world. When Sigurd returns, he brings along two strangers, Basim and Hytham, who are both members of the Hidden Ones, aka the Assassins. Basim is very friendly towards Sigurd and even gives Eivor a hidden blade. Immediately I got suspicious of Basim's intentions because you don't just give a hidden blade to a total stranger. Even Hytham disapproves of Basim giving her a hidden blade since she is not a member of the Brotherhood. Basim instructs Hytham with teaching Eivor the ways of the Hidden Ones. Hytham does so hesitantly, but suspects that his master might have the intention of recruiting Sigurd and Eivor into the Brotherhood. Basim eventually tells Eivor why they are truly there. They are there to hunt a member of the Order of Ancients. When Basim reveals that the person that they have come to kill is Kjotve the Cruel, Eivor immediately tells them that she will help them since Kjotve was the leader of the Wolf Clan and was responsible for killing her parents. They launch a successful attack and confront Kjotve, with Hytham trying to air assassinate Kjotve, which was a nice Easter egg and homage to Altair. But Kjotve surprises Hytham by catching him in the air and throws him, knocking Hytham out of the fight. This ultimately leads down to a showdown between Eivor and the man who killed her parents. Eivor wins the fight, which is crucial in not only stopping the Order of Ancients in Norway, but also helps secure the victory of the Raven clan over the Wolf clan in Norway. When Sigurd, Eivor, Basim, and Hytham come to deliver the good news to Sigurd's father, King Stjornborn, they are met with the surprise that he plans to give up his lands to King Harald, who is becoming the biggest Viking king in Denmark since he is winning against many of the clans in Norway. This causes the division between Sigurd and his father, since Sigurd wants to defend his home and ultimately rule the Raven clan. Ultimately, Sigurd decides with some of the members of the Raven clan to leave Norway and to go to England to create a new home, and he invites Eivor to come with him. Basim and Hytham also decide to accompany them to England. Before leaving Norway, Eivor begins to have visions of the Norse gods, particularly Odin. She consults these visions with Valka, who is the wise woman of the clan, and is given a prophecy that Eivor will ultimately betray Sigurd and take everything from him. Eivor refuses to believe that this is true. Eivor departs Norway with Sigurd and members of the Raven clan to England for a new life and new opportunities. They decide to settle in an abandoned Viking outpost and rename the area as Ravensthorpe, with Sigurd as Jarl and Eivor as his right hand. Sigurd tasks Eivor with forging alliances all throughout England so the Raven clan could survive and thrive in England. Basim and Hytham create a Hidden Ones Bureau in England since they are there to to hunt down the Order of Ancients and re-establish their presence in England, since the Hidden Ones have not been seen in England since the Roman Empire left the area behind to the Visigoths. As Eivor starts to forge alliances throughout England, her visions of Odin start to become stronger, with Odin giving her advice after killing members of the Order of Ancients. Sigurd slowly starts to become unhinged and starts to state that he is a god. Sigurd states that he has brought Basim here to find a stone that would restore his memories of a previous life. Eivor states that they should focus on taking over England, not on some fantasy chase. Sigurd becomes angry and starts to delve more into these visions, which leaves the Raven clan without a leader. Eivor has to step up in Sigurd's place as leader of the Raven clan. Basim takes an interest in Sigurd, but also has some interesting conversations with Eivor, especially when both of them talk about the Hidden Ones, and Basim reveals that he had a son but lost him and his entire family. Valka eventually comes to England after her mother had passed away and proceeds to give potions to Eivor to further explore her visions of Odin. Eivor starts diving into the memories of Odin and sees Asgard, Jotunheim, Svartalfheim, and Niflheim. Eivor learns how Odin tries so hard to avoid his fate in Ragnarok. Odin tries to kill the wolf Fenrir, but is stopped by Loki when he reveals that Fenrir is his son. Disgusted, Odin orders Tyr to imprison the wolf, and Loki vows to get revenge against Odin. Odin binds Fenrir, but at the cost of betraying Tyr, which costs Tyr his arm. Odin travels to Jotunheim to seek the Well of Mimir, which might help Odin and the Norse gods avoid their deaths in Ragnarok. Odin is successful in locating the well, but must sacrifice something personal to gain access to it, and he gives up his own eye to gain insight and wisdom of how to survive. During his time in Jotunheim, Loki and his wife Angrboda try to get their revenge on Odin, but the Allfather escapes and defeats Loki. Before Ragnarok begins, the fire demon Surtur kidnaps Odin's son Balder and lays siege to Svartalfheim, which is the realm of the dwarves. Odin and his wife Frigg go there to rescue their son, but she dies in the process, and throughout his whole journey to save Balder, Odin finds out towards the end of his journey that his son has been killed by mistletoe and has been sent to Helheim. Odin is brokenhearted and almost lets himself be killed, but eventually gets the courage to fight against Surtur and kills him. Odin can't accept Balder's death, so he travels to Niflheim and battles many dangerous monsters and creatures to confront Hel. Hel admits that they have done this multiple times, but he does not believe her and fights her. Odin is successful and talks with Balder, but he tells his father that he's not coming back because he has to fight a group of enemies in the future. Not being able to accept Balder staying behind, Odin asks that his son wipe his memory. Ragnarok eventually comes and destroys everything in the world. Throughout her journey, Eivor learns that Basim, Sigurd, and herself are somehow tied to the Isu. Eivor is the reincarnation of Odin, Basim is Loki, and Sigurd is Tyr. Sigurd eventually tells Eivor that he has found Valhalla and takes her deep within the snowy mountains of Norway to a hidden Isu temple, which is unlocked by Sigurd's memories of Tyr. Inside the temple, they find Yggdrasil, the world tree, which is just a super ancient Isu version of the Animus. Sigurd and Eivor are taken to Valhalla, which is just a simulation. Sigurd is happy to be there, but Eivor realizes that this is wrong and decides it's time to leave Valhalla. Eivor is then confronted by Odin and fights him, but realizes that she can't beat him. Eivor decides not to fight him anymore and sees the exit of Valhalla open, which is surrounded by all her loved ones, including her parents. Eivor and Sigurd escape the simulation only to be confronted and attacked by Basim. Basim thought that Sigurd was Odin, but realized it was Eivor all along since she was wolf-kissed. Basim tries so hard to kill Eivor, but Eivor tricks Basim into the Valhalla simulation. Sigurd is angry at Eivor for betraying him, but also forgives her and decides to step down as Jarl. Feeling ashamed, Sigurd wants to stay behind in Norway, but Eivor convinces him to come back to England with her and he makes her Jarl. Eivor in turn makes Sigurd her second in command. Eivor continues to hunt down the last remaining Order of Ancients all the way to Vinland, which will one day be known as the United States of America, and there she finds a crystal ball and gives it to the Kanyakaheka people, who are Connor's ancestors, and tasks them with protecting it. Eivor finishes off all the Order of Ancients and is invited by her informant, a poor fellow soldier of Christ, to meet him personally. When Eivor meets her informant, she finds out that it was King Alfred, the leader of the Order of Ancients, who was her informant the whole time. He is the one who kept informing Eivor of where each member was, since he despised the Order so much that he wanted to cleanse the Order and re-establish the Order in the image of God, who is the Father of understanding. We know now how the Templar Order truly began, and it was through King Alfred. The Vikings would be victorious in conquering England, but it would come at a heavy cost, with Eivor losing a lot of her allies, and they would eventually bargain a truce with King Alfred. Eivor would later go to Ireland to see her cousin Barrett and stop the wrath of the Druids from destroying the island. Eivor would also travel to France to stop King Charles from setting his sights to England and aid her fellow Vikings there. Many years would pass for Eivor, and she would decide it was time to come to terms with Odin and herself, and decides it's time to leave England, and she says goodbye to her friends, including King Alfred. Eivor would travel to Vinland and spend time learning from Odin about the true nature of the Isu. Odin would explain to Eivor that none of the realms were real, that they were all part of the simulation, and that Ragnarok was the cause of a solar flare that led to the extinction of the Isu and humanity's humanity's rise to power. Odin and the other Norse gods passed on their genetic code in human embryos, but they were unaware that Loki would make his way into their secret lab and would also pass on his genetic code as well. Eivor's body is found in the present day by Layla Hassan, Sean Hastings, and Rebecca Crane. Layla's old team has abandoned her and were reassigned after they found out that she killed her teammate Victoria and crippled Otto Berg at the end of the Fate of Atlantis DLC in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Layla has not been sleeping much and feels a lot of guilt and remorse for her actions with the Staff of Hermes. Layla begins exploring Eivor's memories to see if there is a way to stop the Earth's magnetic field from increasing, since it is causing another worldwide disaster with global warming, mass animal migrations, and diseases like COVID-19 to spring up in this universe as well. The magnetic field has been growing in power since the ending of Assassin's Creed 3. Layla finds the solution through Eivor, which leads her to travel to Norway to the secret hidden ISU temple. Layla takes the staff since the temple is flooded with radiation and she will not be able to survive without it. Layla enters Valhalla only to find Basim there, who greets her and tells her that they have been waiting for her. When Layla asks who has been waiting for her, Basim shows her the reader, who turns out to be none other than Desmond Miles, who died in the real world but his consciousness would live on in the gray, just like how Juno was before she came back into the real world and was killed in the comics by Desmond's son Elijah. Desmond tells Layla that he has been monitoring all the timelines to help humanity avoid another catastrophe from happening. Layla gets help from Desmond in slowing down the Earth's magnetic field since it's still protecting Earth from the 2012 solar flare, but he tells her that she has to leave immediately since her body has let go of the Staff of Hermes and she will be killed by the radiation. Layla decides that it's more important for her to stay behind and help Desmond in saving humanity from destruction by exploring old timelines that no longer exist. Basim's decaying body falls off from the Isu Animus and touches the staff, which leads to Basim being resurrected. Basim is then reunited with his wife Alethea, who turns out to be Angerboda, and she is trapped within the Staff of Hermes. Basim makes his way back to Sean and Rebecca and informs them that Layla decided to stay behind. Basim learns about the Assassin Templar War and states that it is time to take the fight to the Templars, but he would like to meet William Miles, who is the mentor of the assassins in the present day. Basim goes back into the Animus to explore Eivor's final memories, and there he meets William Miles, but not in the way he was expecting. William Miles convinces Basim to submit his DNA to the Animus so that he can explore Basim's memories and see if he could be trusted. This will ultimately lead into the events of Assassin's Creed Mirage, since we have no idea what Loki, Basim, and Alethea have planned. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a game full of mysteries, heroism, mythology, and the exploration of one's true self. I really loved Valhalla. I would give this game an 8.7 out of 10 if I had to rate it. It has a great story, great gameplay, but it also has many flaws. While I put in 204 hours in the game exploring every corner of it, not many people had that kind of time to appreciate the story fully. One of the big criticisms I have to say is that this game is way too big. I personally thought the game would take me as long as Odyssey, but the truth is it took me longer. While I appreciate long games, this game is long enough to play it only once, and it does not need New Game Plus like some people want. One thing I really dislike the most is Ubisoft deciding not to make the protagonist female again, even though female Eivor is canon, just like how Cassandra is canon in Odyssey. I wish Ubisoft would have the guts to make a female protagonist-led game instead of letting players guess and confirming the canon choice later. Another big issue I had with the game was with some of the side activities like the cards. They were some of the most infuriating side activities that I have ever played, and I hope that they never bring them back. The stealth system was also pretty broken, with enemies being able to almost instantly detect you no matter how stealthy you try to be. Valhalla did a lot of great things as well, for example bringing back Jesper Kyd, the original composer of Assassin's Creed 2, and the soundtrack to Valhalla couldn't be more amazing since they brought him back. I really loved how the game made you feel like a Viking, especially with raids and how he conquered England. I couldn't be happy with the direction of Assassin's Creed, and I can't wait to see what Mirage shows us next, especially since it's going back to the classic style of Assassin's Creed. I'm glad that Ubisoft is experimenting with the franchise and will bring back the classic style but with a new look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I want to thank you guys so much for helping me reach 500 subscribers, which is insane. This channel wouldn't thrive and grow without you guys. If you're new here, consider becoming a subscriber and hitting the like button. I would much appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and feel free to check out this video.